All right, and welcome everybody to this week's version of an edition of the Anti-Hustler Weekly Show. I'm hosting solo today. Alex was just here hanging out. He's at an event in Salt Lake City, so you're stuck with me, but in the best way absolutely possible, because I'm going to share on this call what I presented on at POD Live. And I'm going to give you guys the exact details you need in order to really just sign up an abundance of clients before the end of the year. Now, I'm not going to guarantee that that is going to happen, but if you implement the strategies I teach you now, you will set yourself up to not only potentially start to chip away at that, but move towards that for sure into the new year. And really what that is all around is referral partners. So before we dive all the way in, I'm going to grab for myself just a couple of the notes I have here and make sure we have everything we need. Okay, cool. So here's what we're getting into to everyone. And I'm going to actually just share my screen and show you guys the outline, the presentation, the SOP that I actually use for the event. I will spare you the full-blown presentation for those of you who were there. A little emotional in some places, but that's okay. I want at an event to make you feel something, not just learn it. But today, because we're just hanging out here on Zoom, your time's super valuable. We're going to get right into the pragmatic version of all of this. So what is the headline? What are we talking about? How do we actually do this where we can go to a place or have an asset, resource, location, whatever that thing is that will bring us an influx of clients without necessarily spending money on ads or doing like one-to-one outreach, cold email outreach, social media outreach. And really that third door, and one of my favorites, and frankly how POD has grown and I grew my first businesses, is referral partnerships. And in essence, it's essentially finding a person, a business, or a community who already has access to the ideal clients you want to serve. And you can create a referral partnership with them where they are incentivized, could be financially, could be otherwise. We'll talk about that. But they are incentivized to send you new clients on a regular basis. And why is this so powerful? Well, first of all, selling one-to-many versus one-to-one is a lot easier to scale. If you were talking about you wanting to reach higher levels of revenue in your business and not have to work for every single deal that you're getting, this is how we can sell from just one-to-one to one-to-many. Your requirement to spend on ads is a lot lower. Like I said, if you are relying only on ads to scale, it's helpful. It's great. I love inbound advertising, but that's risky putting all your eggs in that basket. Facebook loves to slam the ban hammer, ban accounts left and right. It's good to have a healthy inbound and outbound strategy. It's easier to close. Consider this more like a referral, right? But on steroids, where we're going and being referred to many people, and that trust is transferred from the people you're speaking to you. And that, again, is easier to sell than a person who found your ad on Facebook or you reached out to them via cold email. You have to earn that trust versus you have a referral partner say, hey, Jay is the man. You could trust him. I want you to work with him. That is much more powerful, easier to close, easier on the selling process. And frankly, this idea of having a referral partner is one of the common denominators that we came up when we were doing research around our most successful clients. So we went and handpicked, I believe it was about 6 or 7 different clients of ours, and 5 of them, I recall, having this similar strategy where they have a referral partner that is sending them clients regularly. In I think 3 or 4 of those 5 cases, they were a franchise deal where they found a franchise with dozens, sometimes in the case of one of our MedSpa clients, hundreds of clients, and they're regularly being referred. So this is a common denominator of some of the most successful agencies that we work with and coach. This is why it's important. Now, if you guys are okay with this, I am going to pull up the presentation from POD Live, mostly because and again, I'm not going to go through every single slide. I'll spare you some of the gory details that I went into, but there's a lot of good information I added to this after the fact that isn't necessarily in that doc outline. I'll let you have both. So again, bear with me. I'm going to skip some slides, but I think this will be more engaging and a lot better for you guys to follow along. So let's put a visual behind it, right? Why is this valuable? Look, one-to-one, one-to-many. You can scale much more effectively. You can grow much quicker. I already talked about why this is important. So let's get into some of the meat of this. I want to talk about the considerations first. A couple of the things you should have in your mind as you are developing these relationships and starting to do your outreach. At the event, we had talked about this idea of a strategy partner agency, building out an offer that's more in line with being a strategy partner to your clients, not necessarily just a lead vendor. Simply put, that's having some sort of software component and some sort of high ticket done for you service as an offer. Not going to go deep on that, but this is different than a strategic partner or a referral partner. Sometimes we call this a JV, a joint venture, or a Dream 100 client opportunity or referral opportunity. I do not care about the terminology. Just want you guys to kind of understand there's different words we can use for this that you may have heard before. I really also want you to adopt this mindset that this is a relationship game, right? People really honestly also care about like what's in it for them. You need to focus on that first. So I really want you to adopt this mindset of don't ask what you want from them. Tell them what you want for them. This means you give first, right? So in the easiest example I can use, if you're working with roofers and you found a group or an association of roofers, you can go to them and offer to give free value. Hey, can I show your community how to do X? I'll explain why they would want to let you do that in a little bit, but this is the idea, right? Don't go tell them like, hey, I'd love if you would let me do a presentation in your community. That's all about what you want versus, hey, do you think it'd be valuable if I could show your roofing community how to get more leads without relying only on referrals? That's what you want for them. And it's much more, again, the idea of what's in it for me that they have in their brain. Start there. That's what they want first. Cool. So I also want you guys to consider that this strategy tends to be more of big wins at one time. It can happen over the course of months if you have the right referral partners. A lot of times it's like big hits in smaller increments of clients. So again, you want to smooth it out with other inbound and outbound strategies. And last consideration on the mindset piece, just personalizing is key. I know if you're here hanging out, you've seen me do AI prospecting workshops before. That is not what I really want to lean on here. I want personalization. I want these people to feel like they matter. These are high leverage, high value relationships. Treat it like that. All right, cool. Just a couple more logistical considerations. I want you to aim for niche specific resources and sources of referral partners. It's much easier to communicate the value to that group of people and not have to re-explain it to every single different kind of person. This works best when you already have some proof of concept, right? When you're going to go sell one to many and you need that leader, person in a leadership position or the referral position to trust what you've done, it's always going to be a lot easier if you have something to back that up, proof of what you have done. If you're just at the very beginning of your journey, this might not be the best place to start, but still, if you are at the beginning of your journey and you have connections, leverage them. They can be good referral partners. I might have skipped over the story. Actually, I think it comes up a little later, but my dad was one of my first referral partners. He worked with local businesses for some financial consulting that he did, and he was able to refer me to them. Made a big difference when I was just getting started. So leverage the people you know. Start local. Again, people like to help people like them. They like to help people in their community. If you're not really sure where to start, go start in your local community, your chamber of commerce, your BNI. It's not going to be the end all be all strategies, but they will get you ingrained with people who will see your face. They'll like you. They'll trust you. They'll want to support you on your journey. It's a great place to start. And then this is not that big of a detail or of that big of an importance, but your online presence should mostly match the outreach you're doing from them. So if you're reaching out to roofing associations from your Facebook profile, Facebook profile should probably be relevant at least a little bit to roofing. If it's like all about chiropractors and you're going out in left field, they're going to be very confused. So just make sure that it matches more or less the audience you're reaching out to. All right, fam, we're going to keep going along here. Thank you for hanging out today. I'm just going to give you, like I said, all the best details of this. We're going to run through it, and you guys can ask me any questions you want here at the end. So here's how we are going to do this. We're going to create a hit list. We're going to get into these different places we've established a hit list for, and we're going to use the PCAC framework for outreach, referral partnership agreements, kind of the boring stuff, but also important to consider, and then how you maintain and nurture a relationship. I'm going to give you all the good details today, guys. We're not talking about like the fluffy stuff or the what and the why. I'm literally giving you the how to do this today because I want to set you guys up for success moving into Q4 this year. So something kind of fun that I did at the event, and I'll go through it quickly here. I was joking about how to not sell t-shirts. Just really quickly, one of my first businesses ever was how to sell t-shirts. And the answer on how you do not sell t-shirts is 1-to-1. If you're trying to sell t-shirts 1-to-1, it's a very difficult business to make any kind of money on, because t-shirts are like $20 and we had no idea what we were doing. The slightly better way to sell t-shirts was putting them in a place where we knew our customers would buy them. So we had a relationship with a local skate shop owner. He sold t-shirts, skateboards, etc. We bought shirts from him. He liked us. So we asked, like, hey, can we put our t-shirts up in your shop? And he let us. We didn't sell that many. We sold a few. We put them also, we gave them away to some kids who were really good at skateboarding and were well known in the skateboarding community locally. We gave them our shirts to wear. And so still didn't make a lot of money because we didn't know what we were doing, but we were still selling more t-shirts, right? And so the lesson applies where don't try and sell your stuff 1-to-1 either. Go to the places and partner with the people who have access to the customers you want. One of the proudest moments of my entrepreneurial journey was really seeing a random kid walking the street wearing our t-shirt, because that was pretty cool. It wasn't like a friend or a family member who's just supporting us. It was a random kid. And that was very cool, and like validation that, hey, this works. I can get my product into someone else's hands by leveraging someone else's community and audience. That's probably not what my 17-year-old brain was saying at the time, but it's the lesson that I took away from it now, and it's valuable for everyone here. So different types of referral partners. Let's talk about it. You have one-off events or sponsorships. This is something, maybe there's a group or association, they have sponsorship opportunities, they invite you to speak, something like that. It's one-off, not a recurring thing. There's niche specific groups and associations. Maybe they have regular meetups. They looking for regular speakers. They have a regularly changing board of directors and people who you can connect with. That's solid as well. Takes a little more effort and time to get ingrained, typically a little bit better results. Complementary service providers are a sweet spot. I'm going to give you guys some examples of a complementary of these in a minute, but this is a really good sweet spot. Franchises are at the top in terms of getting the best results. They take the most effort and time to approach. Everything I'm going to teach you here can work for any of these, but this is really a sweet spot of complementary service providers that if you can focus in on over these next 3 months, you can find wins here. So a couple just quick examples of a complementary service provider. Let's say you're working with med spas. It could be someone who actually produces the medical devices. Maybe you're working in patio furniture like I did. I partnered with furniture manufacturers who would refer me to their retailers. It could be similar but non-competing marketing services or software. We have a client who works with car dealerships. He was just connected with a person who owns a software company to manage inventory for car dealers. They have 600 clients. It's an incredible referral partner for my client now. Niche specific masterminds or coaching programs. A lot of like higher, how do I say this? A lot of like white collar industries have this, like financial advisors, doctors, consultants, where there's like a mastermind or coaching program for that. A lot of gyms as well, but like if you sell a service to this like marketing agencies, POD is a great referral partner, which is why we have a lot of sponsors at our events, because they want access to marketing agencies. So it works the same way. And then any niche specific suppliers, right? This could be white label providers, accounting, legal, brokers. If you work with restaurants, probably, hopefully not, but food suppliers. Like there's a lot of really interesting ways, not the best ones. Typically it's going to be a similar but non-competing marketing service or software or community. But this is also just a good example to kind of get your creative juices flowing. So again, for the purposes of the event, and I'll go quickly through this, I was talking about the idea of the law of 6 degrees of separation. I've seen it in a couple different ways online, but essentially like leveraging your network to get into these bigger businesses. This is, how old was I? 24, 23-year-old Brian. My good friend Carlos knew Doug, his stepfather. Doug was the president of the International Casual Furniture Association, and I got connected with these 8-figure, 9-figure companies that trusted me to do their marketing. And I even got to work with Marriott because Carlos introduced me to a couple Marriott hotels through his connections. So you need to leverage these people that you know, and it gave me access from a very young age to very powerful networks and opportunities because I talked to the people I knew. We even got a free office for a year. It was pretty cool. That was just through referral partners. This guy sent us clients like, hey, I like you guys, want to keep you close. Can I give you an office in this back room? Was amazing. I hated going in there. I like working from home instead. Maybe that's just me, but this works, guys. It really does. So I'm living proof that the like, know, and trust factor is real. Again, I was barely 20 years old, and multi-million-dollar brands were trusting me to do their marketing. So don't let your negative self-talk like, oh, like why would they do that for me? Because you're the one who's got the guts to go out there and meet them face to face and hang out and actually be ingrained and be a human being in their community. And they appreciate that. They want to help people they like and trust. All right. So in terms of creating a hit list, here's what I want you to consider. How do you develop this list, right? We're talking about how you make a hit list of who you're going to reach out to. I gave you a couple of examples to start with back here. I'll jump back really quickly. So again, here's examples. How do you find these if you're not sure where to start? First thing you do is you ask your clients who else they buy from and what events they attend, what groups they know of or are a part of. Ask your connections. You have to ask first. A closed mouth does not get fed. We were just talking about that on the sales coaching call. I love that frame of mind. You need to, and another version of that is a squeaky wheel gets oil. Be the squeaky wheel asking your audience. Again, connections, in your niche. Attending events is really powerful. When you go to events and you talk to the people who are sponsoring those events, let's say you work with roofers, you go to a roofing event and you go talk to the people who sponsored that event. They are amazing referral partners because they're paying for access to the same audience. They likely have a budget and somewhat of a customer base to be able to afford to sponsor these events. And they want to talk to event attendees. It was a really powerful way to meet potential referral partners who are the people who are sponsoring niche specific events, etc. That's a powerful place to start as well. And also just doing some of your own research, right? Go into Google. It's not that hard. If you guys after this want me to give you a couple of examples, basically you can just go plug in top car dealer, like software companies, top cool sculpting equipment manufacturer, top red light therapy, like plug in the niche specific terms that make sense for you and do some research on Google. So if you guys are looking for like an action item out of this, again, I love being pragmatic. Like, how can you guys take action? Compile a list of 5 to 10 potential referral partners based on some of the ideas here and who could potentially refer you clients. So just write down some ideas. You don't have to do this right this second, but this is one of the ways you can take action on what you're learning today. Cool. Before I continue, we got 14 people here hanging out. I just want to make sure we're all alive, listening and enjoying this. Can you drop a 7 in the chat if you're here, if you're liking this so far? Just want to make sure we got some people involved here. Cool. Love it.
Looking for proof of life.
Thank you, everyone. I got you, Jay. We were playing the back and forth mute game. All right. Appreciate you, fam. Let's keep rolling. So you have your hit list now. How do you get in? There's 2 ways. You can go top down or bottom up. Basically, top down would be starting at the top. And ideally, you can start here. It's the fastest option because you're going to go to the leadership. And this is best used when leveraging client and current relationships. So again, like my friend Carlos, who introduced me to Doug, he introduced me to the people at the top. I got to go top down. It can be expensive, though, if you're buying in like through a sponsorship or you don't know anyone who can connect you there. But I still would recommend starting there. It's one of the easiest ways just to get in. And again, I will explain here shortly why these people would be incentivized to do this for you. Bottom up would be going after more of the C-level executives. So not the people who are in the main leaders, but just right below them. It's easier to get a hold of the right person. They're more open to having conversations. It can be a little bit longer to play telephone to have them like run it up the ladder, but it can be an effective way to get into a place where maybe the leadership is less accessible. So here's a couple of ideas for the top-down strategy. Get referred by someone you know. So usually going to be the best option. I'm not going to go through this in too much detail. That speaks for itself. Get referred by someone you know. That's the best way. You can buy your way in. Sponsorships is usually a great way to get in the good graces of people in leadership positions of these communities. If you've ever sponsored a POD event, I don't think anyone on this call has in particular, but we're going to go above and beyond to include you, talk to you, make sure you're getting what you need out of the event. Any good event coordinator, community leader, association leader, all of those phrases, they'll do the same for you. Purchasing their products is a really good way to get in, right? I talked about the skate shop owner. We'd be a regular customer of his, so he wanted to help us out when the time came to ask. One of our clients, Aaron Darkin, he runs a calling center, and he joined POD not only for mentorship because he knew our agency clients needed his help, right? So he bought POD, $18,000 program, because he knew that it would net him a positive ROI, not only in the coaching, but in the access to clients. And it absolutely has. I know at least 10 clients who have been working with him for a long time now. So you can buy into these communities as well by buying their products. And then really just go and finding the right person to ask. It's crazy that these group associations and their websites, they love to flex who's in the leadership position, what their phone number is, what their name is. Here's their picture. Here's their home address. I'm just kidding about the address. But most of the times they really list a lot of these things online already. You just got to go look on the websites. I gave you a couple of examples already. I'm going to give you guys this deck. So feel free to, if you want this deck, just comment deck here and I will drop it towards the end. We'll make sure you guys get a copy of it so you can go through some of the more details. All right, so top down, just more examples. All right, so bottom up. This would be adding value, right? Going to the people who are maybe coordinating the community events, or if it's a group or association, the local meetups, and you just ask them how to get involved. Or, hey, can I add some value to the formal webinar or a training? And you're just adding value first. And then this is something we could go talk a whole hour on, frankly, this idea of the interview offer. One of the best ways to get access to anyone is offering to interview them. Hey, Steve, looks like you do some great work in the X space. We actually serve people in this community as well. Would you be open to being featured in an interview series we're putting together? We'd love to hear some of your opinions. People have huge egos. They love to talk about themselves. It's a really great way to get anyone's time, top down or bottom up. Cool. So again, just a couple of more examples driving this home. How to get in. Here's your action item. Identify 3 people in your personal network who are possibly connected or associated with the niche you are pursuing. All right. So this is a great way just to start, tap into your personal network. Let's go from there. Cool. Keep trucking along. Use the PCAC framework. I joked at the event like, hey, raise your hands if you've heard of the PCAC framework. No one raised their hands. Good, because I made it up. But it's a good lesson in marketing where it sounds way more interesting than just whatever it was, just calling it nothing. Like, hey, do this for outreach. When you guys can name and give intellectual property to your teaching, it adds a lot of value. So a little bit of secret sauce probably ruins it as I'm going through it, but I don't care. I want you guys to have that in your toolkit as marketers. Not going to go through Laszlo's hierarchy of needs, but really like the idea of why they would respond to you, why they would do this for you. You're making their life easier by adding value back to their community. If they're a complementary service provider, you're getting their clients better results to sell more of their product. If they're an association leader, you're adding value by hosting a weekly training that they don't have to think about what to do now. You're just going to lead the charge and add value, right? There's a lot of ways that aren't just financially motivated that people will do this for you. So I'm going to run through these pretty quickly because you're going to get the deck. This is called the PCAC framework: personal opener, compliment, add value, curiosity question. And I'll run through just one example here. But essentially, hey, Chase, love the video you guys are consistently putting together in the high-level group. Super valuable. And if you ever want to cover how to use AI for client communication, this is my specialty, and I'd be more than happy to share with the group. Would you be open to a short call to discuss? So here's a couple of other versions, guys. You can come back to the recording, pause it, or just come into the deck and get it. These are all just different versions of how you can do a personal opener, compliment them, add value, and then prompt a curiosity question to kind of move them down the funnel. All right, cool. So just some ideas for channels you can use. I would, again, this is high touch. I would do anything and everywhere you could. I would reach out to them via email, follow up that email with calls, reach out on LinkedIn, reach out on Facebook, Instagram, if that makes sense, reach out direct mail. I often say, like, if you only had one person on your list, what would you do to get a hold of them? You do anything, right? So when you have these smaller lists, you need to be more willing to have a high touch outreach, be more personal, and not just send one email and be like, well, that didn't work. This is not mass outreach. These are high value, high leverage relationships. Treat them like that. All right. So in terms of the action item for number 3, I want you guys to leverage some of the scripts I gave you and just build on them from there. Again, you'll have that access in the deck. So the boring part, bear with me, I'm going to run through it really quickly. Referral partner agreements and terms. I even use this silly thing, it's kind of boring, but it's critical. So basically the overarching approach is you're going to ask if you can be referred or take on 1, 2, 3 locations. And if you can prove X result, you'll get the opportunity to present this to more people, right? I would even even if it's a pay for performance, or you're doing maybe one of them for free or at cost, just so you can get your foot in. One of our clients, Logan Hawley, did some lead gen, his SaaS for free for a couple of massive referral partners, just 2 of them. And then they referred him to hundreds of insurance agents after they saw that it was really valuable, because that was the agreement that he cut. So again, this is the overarching approach. And again, you want to make sure you're agreeing on a specific outcome that needs to be achieved in order for them to open up their doors to let you in to the community. And I talked about this a little bit throughout, but why would they send you business? It's going to enable them to their resellers to sell more of their product. That's value to their community. They're looking for good agencies to recommend typically, and potentially there's a monetary incentive. So what I do not want you to do is do not bring up referring or giving them money first. If you sense that that's something that they need to get the deal over the finish line, then we can bring that up. But again, sometimes people just want to do right by their community, get a good referral partner. They're not as necessarily interested in the monetary agreement. So again, don't bring that up unless it's totally necessary. And then always clearly define like what you are responsible for and what they are responsible for in the relationship. So again, you guys can come back to the deck here, and there's a slide here on how to actually structure the finances. So you can get a little more clarity on that, because I know it's a question people have, but I'm not going to bore you to death on this one. We're just going to cover the good stuff at the top. So essentially, for an action item, just would want you to write down what you would give someone for a referral. Let's say you would need to incentivize them. What could you do? Let's talk a little bit about that. So last step, maintain and nurture relationships. You want to make sure you at least follow or connect with them online. That's a bare minimum, just so you can kind of stay in their world and know what's going on. This is a joke from the event, so I'll skip over. That was an inside joke. I want you to aim for at least quarterly touch points throughout the year as you exit the honeymoon phase. Just reach out and bring up something new or relevant going on in their world. Say what's up, wish them well. And this is key. I want you to over time mix and match ways to get involved. If you've been following our journey at all, you've seen how closely we work with High Level on a bunch of different things. They sponsor our events. We sponsor their events. They speak on our stage. We speak on their stage. We trade interviews. We hang out at other people's events. So when you can do these, we offer one-on-one support, right? Like to their team, give sales coaching advice, and they give our clients advice on how to use High Level appropriately. So when you can mix and match these ways to get involved, you really create a powerful referral partner, because you stay top of mind and you keep adding value to each other's community and you feed off that energy. I really think it's critical that for these types of relationships too, you are showcasing appreciation with personal gifts. Gifts do not always have to be money, right? Could be a gift card to a local restaurant they like, tickets to sports, concerts, experiences, last crumb cookie box. People always lose their mind and we send them this $140 cookie box. We got custom cigars that were up here on my shelf from a guy. Like, get creative, right? I'm going to skip over some of these just for the sake of your guys' time. But yeah, I want you guys to just really consider, who's the last person who sent you a great referral? What gift will you send to them? Just go gift that person something, incentivize them to do this. One of my favorite, I think this was the bonus, also donating to a charity instead of paying them and then posting about that publicly is a great way to just motivate someone and make them feel good and encourage other people to refer you as well. So here was a summary, guys. Create your hit list, get in either top down or bottom up. Use the framework I showed you for outreach in your scripts, whether you're calling, texting, social, probably not texting, reaching out over email. Those are frames you can use. Know what you want to bring to the table in terms of an agreement, and then maintain and nurture relationships. So I threw a lot at you guys really quickly today. I'm going to give you the link to this presentation right now. That way everyone here can have it. And yeah, guys, I greatly appreciate your time. I have a few more minutes to hang if anyone would like to ask a question. Otherwise, I'm going to drop the deck there and end the recording. And